Dragonclaw takes care of Ampharos now, all on the back of Shadow Swampert, aka the GOAT. Romeo continuing to farm up. We're running out of HP. We're forced to shield up the Dragonclaw. The opponent still has Dubwall alive in the back. The opponent switches out, trying to catch the Earthquake. Romeo says no, fires off the Hydro Cannon. Down goes Dubwall. Back out comes Guzzlord. We make the Earthquake. But is Earthquake going to be enough to knock out? Well, you're going to have to watch the video to find out. So welcome back to the home of Shadow Pokemon. Today we have the pleasure of shoutcasting the glorious return of Ruffian Romeo to YouTube. He's a fellow content creator. He first documented his incredible journey to legend for the first time for us all on YouTube. Unfortunately, other life circumstances have meant he's been unable to feature any of his own content. So today we have the pleasure of shoutcasting his triple Shadow, triple non-XL battles in the Open Ultra League. If you're wondering how my season's going after memeing around for the first half, we've finally hit Expert. If you want to watch my legend push live on stream, then join the Discord, which is linked down below. Without any further ado, let's jump into the battles. And in game one, we see Ampharos into Blaziken, two better responses in the back. The opponent ironically switches out into their own Ampharos. Ruffian Romeo living up to his namesake, trying to rough up the opponent, sneaking through the superpower. The opponent shields it up. Return fire with the brutal swing, securing the knockout. Romeo waits out his clock. He sends back out his own Ampharos and we enter the shadow on shadow mirror. The opponent farms up to what could be a focus blast. The question is, does Romeo respect the damage last second? He commits the shield, and my god, what a good shield. The opponent YOLO'd the Zap Cannon, and Shadow on Shadow Crime, that would have done a fuck ton of damage. Back out comes Blaziken, we go for the chip and dip with the Thunder Punch, pivot out into the GOAT, and the opponent has Cresselia in the back. This could get tricky. Swampert going straight for the hard-hitting Earthquake. Earthquake rocks Cresselia deep into the yellow. Moment of truth time. Does the opponent have Grass Knot? Romeo commits a shield. The opponent is on Grass Knot. However, Swampert has a huge running start of energy. We YOLO the next Earthquake on the CMP tie. The opponent lets it go. Cresselia gets absolutely wrecked. Back out comes Blaziken. They farm up. Fire off a charge with on the CMP tie, but the resisted Blaze Kick doesn't get the job done. Swampert will be forced in the final shield. With the Hydro Cannon, we pivot out into Ampharos for that wham bam combo play, serving up the Big Mac and the fries. Thunder Punch secures the knockout and we're off to a 1-0 start. Moving on to the next one. We see yet another Cresselia. Anyone would think this fucking basic bitch Pokemon is in raids. Spoiler alert, it is in raids. So if you like basic bitch meta, good chance to get yourself one. The opponent full sends the Future Sight, which lands for huge neutral damage. However, Romeo undeterred returns fire with the Brutal Swing, which does over half the health. Again, Romeo showing great discipline. Firing off the next Brutal Swing on the CMP tie. Cresselia far too thick. Looks like Cresselia just about wins the zeros. Romeo going to send out Swampert for a nice running start on energy. The opponent now sends out Tapu Fini. Romeo farming up to the Earthquake and going for a bait with the Hydro Cannon. Is Romeo the best masturbator in the world? Yes, he is. I see you, Ruffian Romeo. You might be retired from content, but evidently you've been spending a lot of time online practicing your masturbating. Again, we farm up this time. We're YOLOing the Earthquake. Does the opponent respect the damage? Yes, they do. I smell a Reggie. Romeo obviously agrees, committing a shield on the Surf. Romeo needs to be mindful. The opponent might try and make an attempted catch. Instead, we bank an Earthquake, pivot out into Dragonite. The opponent going to full send the Moonblast. Dragonite straight in and straight out. Romeo putting all his hopes and dreams on the back of Shadow Swampert. The opponent makes a great catch, catching the Earthquake on the big tin can they're lurking in the back. Romeo now needs to manage his energy well. We farm up, fire off the Hydro Cannon. Hydro Cannon will be taken care of. Reggie, it's going to be a race. Can Swampert win the race? Who was worried? Swampert wins CMP and Earthquake is going to vanquish them back to their Pokeball. GG's and thanks for playing. Shadow Swampert reminding you all why I call it the GOAT. In the next battle, great lead. Ampharos into Poliwrath, the opponent safe switch into the big tin can and Romeo responds with the GOAT. The GOAT pretty comfortable in this matchup, especially if the opponent masturbates us with a Zap Cannon. We do survive a Focus Blast, so Romeo wasn't shielding shit. They did get the attack drop though. We fire off the Earthquake, the opponent looking to make a play at switch. They correctly shield off an Earthquake and outpace us by a singular turn to the next charge move. The opponent again fires off a Zap Cannon. The opponent 2 for 2. On debuffs, clearly they've sold their soul to the RNG gods. Romeo fires off another Earthquake and the opponent commits both Protect Shields. Is Romeo going to surrender switch? No, he's not. The opponent fires off yet another Zap Cannon. The opponent 3 for 3. Holy crap, I need some of this RNG luck. Romeo fires off the Earthquake Even 3-stage debuffed, it gets him deep into the red. Romeo then fires off the Hydro Cannon. Hydro Cannon will be securing the knockout, and we do maintain alignment. Out comes Poliwrath. We farm up to the Earthquake and fire off a Hydro Cannon. I have absolutely no idea why. The opponent has no Protect Shields. That is honestly one of the strangest plays I've ever seen, Romeo. Perhaps you can tell me what you were thinking, because I have no idea. Back out comes Ampharos. We survive the Scald. Return fire with the Thunder Punch. Thunder Punch secures the knockout. The opponent's final Pokemon is Charizard. The opponent attempts to wing attack, farm down. Ampharos says no, makes the Thunder Punch, and that is going to be all she wrote. GG's and thanks for playing. In the next battle, we need Ampharos into the Bear Trap. A huge yikes moment. We're forced to Safe Switch into Dragonite, which will be taken super effective from the Rock Slide. The opponent strikes first with the Rock Slide, getting us deep into the yellow. Then Safe Switch into the big Jellyfish. However, Dragonite this far ahead in energy has actually got a chance of flipping switch. We fire off the first Dragon Claw, getting them into the yellow. We're already at Dragon Claw. Number 2. Is the opponent willing to shield? No, they're not. Can we get the Dragon Breath farm down? Did we stop attacking? I think we actually aren't lagging. I don't know why we'd stop attacking there, as I think if we can get switched, we're in a good spot. However, let's see what Ruffian Romeo's cooking up. We tank the Surf. We then catch the next Surf onto Swampert. Okay, I'm going to let you cook, Romeo. Come on, buddy. Show me what you're thinking. The opponent unlikely to return with Stunfisk. Holy crap. ABA steal. Swampert actually has a chance here. Romeo again trying his luck with the Master Bait. The opponent calls the bait. No, this is why I don't bait. Romeo still has a chance here. We correctly shield up the Focus Blast. This opponent isn't trying to go for any debuff chance. We full send the Earthquake this time, Romeo. Learning Masturbating isn't good, as every time you masturbate, a cat dies. The opponent absolutely sacked the Tin Can. Back out comes Stunfisk. We can just go straight Hydro Cannon in this matchup, as all the residual Mud Shot damage will put them into Hydro Cannon range. Romeo commits a shield. The opponent full sends the Earthquake, and that is going to be check and mate. We fire off the next Hydro Cannon, drawing the last protection. We don't even need an Earthquake at this stage, and Swampert manages to carry the team to a very unlikely victory. GG's. In the next battle, we found ourselves a Spice Lord. The opponent running a very cool flex of an XL Frostlass in the Open Ultra League. Romeo continuing to farm up, instantly shields as Frostlass, despite not being 2500, is going to hit like a truck. We then pause a turn, return fire with the Brutal Swing. A nice play from Romeo, ensuring the opponent can't make a catch. Then pivot out into Galarian Weezing. We're going for the Chip and Dip, firing off the Thunder Punch. Thunder Punch should put this thing more or less into Hydro Cannon range. However, Romeo actually choosing to stay in, firing off one more Thunder Punch. The opponent invests that Protect Shield. Romeo looking to stay in, forcing the opponent to dump energy. The opponent fires off the Overheat, vanquishing us back to our Pokeball. Romeo now sends out Swampert. The opponent pivots out into Purified Charizard, looking to reset their debuff. Don't fancy the smoke, then concede the match. In the next battle, we see Ampharos into a Lowland Sandslash. Not the best matchup, however, it's evidently a lot better than the matchup our Dragonite would have. So we are choosing to stay in. Romeo looking to call the bait. What a call. Romeo's huge cojones coming in clutch. When you run Shadow Pokemon, people love to bait, and this time Romeo doesn't shield a bait. He then forces Sandslash to throw another charge move. Ampharos has got this thing pretty low. We can now send in Swampert, look to load up on energy, and Dragonite will be avoiding this big threat. Romeo sends in Swampert. He's looking to one shield Mud Shot farm this all the way down. The opponent fires off the Drill Run. They then realise they're going to get farmed down and pivot out into Tapu Fini. Romeo YOLOs the Earthquake. The opponent shows no respect. Then stay in school, kids. Learn to count. Romeo makes a savage catch of the Surf onto Dragonite, and Dragonite absorbs that energy really well. Dragonite looks for the full Dragon Breath farm down, and we get it. If the opponent returns with Sandslash, they'll also get resisted. Dragon Breath farm down. The opponent forced to show their third. Out comes the Jellyfish, and Dragonite now going to be ripping off Dragon Claw after Dragon Claw the first one. Draws a Protect Shield. Dragonite already at the second one. The second one goes unshielded. Jellicent now down below 50% HP. The opponent farming up a boatload of energy. Romeo just going to allow Dragonite to go down the resisted Surf. Takes us out. Swampert only one Mud Shot away from the Hydro Cannon. The opponent actually lets it go. If Romeo can correctly shield up a Shadow Ball, I think we're going to be able to Mud Shot down the remainder of the team. We shield up the Shadow Ball. Back out comes Swampert, and Romeo clutches up yet another dub. Moving on to the next one. Ampharos into Swampert. No thank you, says Romeo. We pivot out into our own Swampert. The opponent builds up some energy, pivot out into Giratina. Romeo fires off the Earthquake on the CMP tie. Giratina invests the Protect Shield. The opponent wants to keep that really positive alignment. Swampert absorbs the Dragon Claw. Romeo farms up, fires off Earthquake. Number 2, Giratina might be thick, but Swampert hits like a truck. We now get them into the yellow. The opponent gets greedy, allowing Swampert to make a final Hydro Cannon. Hydro Cannon won't be lethal, but does get them super low. Romeo just going to allow Swampert to go down. Dragon Claw secures the knockout. Ampharos can come in, commit to the resisted Volt Switch farm down. Ampharos doesn't really care about any of these charge moves. Bulky Giratina just tickles. We get the Volt Switch farm down, back out. Comes Swampert. Romeo calls the Hydro Cannon. It's just a Hydro Cannon. We see the pivot into Dragonite. The opponent's got Clefable in the back, and we instantly concede. GG's that opponent. In the next battle, we got yet more Shadow on Shadow crime. Last time, Romeo called the bait. Are we going to call a bait again? Romeo strikes first with the Thunder Punch. The opponent actually chooses to shield. Romeo again clicks no shield. The opponent again go for a bait. My God, if I had a pound for every time someone baited me using a Shadow Pokemon, I'd be so rich I wouldn't have to work 60 hours a week. Ampharos putting in a whole heap of work in the lead. The opponent down a shield, and now Energy Dry. We now come into Swampert. The opponent pivot out into Gliscopod. We bank a Hydro Cannon for the road and pivot out into Dragonite. Dragonite does resist absolutely all of these charge moves. However, Dragonite, you forgot your defense stat, buddy. Because that Liquidation's already got us into the yellow, we farm up. Fire the Dragon Claw. The opponent now invests their last shield. Romeo happy to invest one Protect Shield to get rid of this Gliscopod. The opponent again fires off the Liquidation. Dragonite wins the race to the next charge move. Dragon Claw will be securing the knockout. The opponent's final Pokemon is the world's most annoying Pigeon. Pidgeot comes in, gets the wing attack farm down. Swampert with a charge move bank, fires off the Hydro Cannon, getting Pidgeot below half health. Tough decision to make. Romeo calling the opponent is going to fire off the Brave Bird, which they do. What a shield, back out. Comes Sandslash. Romeo over farms. One Hydro Cannon will be taking care of Sandslash. Guess what, Pigeon? You, sir, are going to get outpaced, and the next Hydro Cannon is going to be more than enough to knock you out of the sky. GG's, and thanks for playing. In the next battle, we need Ampharos into Nidoqueen, the Shadow variant. Yikes, we see the pivot into Dragonite. The opponent is staying in, and look at the Poison Jab damage. Romeo going to be forced to respect the Poison Fang, or just get farmed down. We shield up the Poison Fang. Romeo now continuing to farm up. Returns fire with the Dragon Claw. Nidoqueen invest that Protect Shield. The opponent doesn't go for the farm down. Romeo just going to sack Dragonite. Nidoqueen takes care of Dragonite. However, we can now wait out our full timer. Come into Swampert, and we should be able to Mud Shot farm down before they reach an Earth Power. The opponent looks to commit to the Earth Power. This is only a Fang, so Swampert doesn't need to shield. Fang does absolutely nothing. Swampert gets a huge Mud Shot farm down. The opponent now sends out Dubwall. We're YOLOing the Earthquake. Dubwall super thick, shows no respect, and now below half health. We pivot out into Ampharos and it's Guzzlord in the back. Despite us running a moveset that is completely walled by this very annoying Dark Dragon, we've got access to both Focus Blast and Legacy Dragon Pulse. The opponent craps their pants, putting up a Protect Shield. Romeo correctly recognises that Swampert is going to be the key to victory. The opponent scared of the Focus Blast, dump energy. Dragon Claw takes care of Ampharos, is now all on the back of the goat to do goat things. The opponent farms up, gonna fire off the Dragon Claw. It's now going to be all shields down. We need to be mindful of the potential sack swap. The opponent switch out into Dubwall, looking to catch the Earthquake. Romeo says no, fires off the Hydro Cannon, securing the knockout. Back out comes Dubwall. We make the Earthquake, but is Earthquake enough to knock out? Yes, it is. Who was worried? Swampert sweeps yet another backline. Moving on to the next battle, we see the battle of electric types. Galvantula going to be ever annoying, firing off lunges. Both players looking to take the extra. The opponent throws energy first. Lunge does respectable neutral damage. We shrug it off. Romeo returns fire with the brutal swing. Galvantula users love to shield. This opponent doesn't shield the first, so Romeo says fuck it, I've got another, give me that shield. The opponent actually doesn't shield. I've never seen a Galvantula user not shield. The opponent actually chooses to come into Jellicent, which is a pretty interesting play, as they'll be forced now to shield up the Thunder Punch. The opponent does shield, they then look to Hex Farm us all the way down. Ampharos still not done, makes Thunder Punch number 2, and the opponent chooses the 2-shield Jelly. I've got a sneaky suspicion it's going to be Mandibuzz in the back. If you're wondering why I think that, because I did post Thick Joey's team, that is exactly this with Mandibuzz in the back. However, to correctly use this team, you've got to be really annoying. to shield the lead and then just try and RPS the back line. The opponents give Swampert 2 protect shields to hide behind and is now primed to sweep. We call the surf. The opponent continuing to stay in. They don't make an Earthquake catch on the potential Mandibuzz. Earthquake vanquishes Jellicent back to their Pokeball. It's actually not Mandibuzz, but it is a Dark type. Swampert up 2 shields, going to have no problem taking care of Umbreon. We just got to shield 2 times, rip off a few Hydro Cannons and return this ever bulky beast to their Pokeball. We're actually going for 2 Earthquakes, which still get the job done. The first one gets them into the yellow. It looks like Romeo playing with his food, fires off the Hydro Cannon, which doesn't secure the knockout. However, Swampert with a Protect Shield to hide behind, going to shield up the next Dark Pulse, make the Hydro Cannon, and this really bulky team is going to lose to a pretty squishy triple Shadow team. GG's and thanks for playing. Huge shout out to Ruffy and Romeo for the incredible battle submission, showing you don't need to be an Excel abuser to get some success in the Open Ultra League. I look forward to whenever you make a return to content. You guys should all go check him out, even if he's not posting content yet. His old content is so funny. He trash talks probably as much as me, and I thought I was the biggest trash talker out there. So if you're enjoying the content, smash that like button. If you're new, consider subscribing. If you like your battles featured on my channel, a link to my battle submission form is down below. And as always, a huge thank you to everyone for watching. We just hit 6k. I'm ever grateful, and I'll see you all in the next one.